March 12th, 2026, 3:12 a.m. Gulf Standard Time. Right now, at this very moment, somewhere in the Dasht-e-Kavir desert of central Iran, a mobile launch vehicle is pulling back its camouflage netting. The launcher is 18 meters long, painted in desert tan, mounted on a 12-wheel transporter that hasn't appeared in any satellite database until tonight. And what just left that launcher, what streaked into the sky at 4:17 a.m. local time and was tracked by every radar installation from Bahrain to Israel, is something the Pentagon has never seen before. Iran just tested the Kheibar-3, not the Kheibar-Shikan, not the Fatah-2. This is something new, something that wasn't supposed to exist for another 5 years, according to every Western intelligence estimate. And what it just did during a 14-minute flight over the Iranian desert has sent the entire U.S. Central Command into emergency session. Because the Kheibar-3 didn't just fly, it maneuvered. It changed trajectory 4 times during its terminal phase. It deployed 3 decoys that were indistinguishable from the real warhead on radar. And when it hit its target, a decommissioned cargo ship 1,400 kilometers from the launch site, it struck within 3 meters of the bullseye. And here's the part that has the Pentagon scrambling. Neither the Patriot system, nor THAAD, nor the Aegis combat system currently deployed in the Persian Gulf can intercept it. Not theoretically, not with software upgrades, not at all. If Iran fires this missile at a U.S. base tomorrow, there is no defense. Zero, and the Pentagon knows it. Here's what you need to understand. At 6:45 a.m. Gulf time, approximately 2.5 hours after the launch, U.S. Central Command at Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar issued a flash traffic alert to every American military installation in the Middle East. Flash traffic is the highest priority communication the military uses. It means immediate threat. It means everybody stops what they're doing and reads this right now. The alert, which was obtained by a defense journalist and posted on X before the Pentagon could classify it, contained 3 words that have never appeared together in a CENTCOM flash alert before. Quote, "New capability confirmed. Not suspected. Not assessed. Confirmed." That's the U.S. military admitting in real time that Iran just demonstrated a weapon they cannot counter. 30 minutes later, Lieutenant General James Mingus, the CENTCOM deputy commander, convened an emergency video conference with the commanders of every U.S. base in the Gulf, Camp Arifia in Kuwait, Naval Support Activity in Bahrain, Al Dhafra Air Base in the UAE, and Al Udeid in Qatar. The call lasted 47 minutes, and according to 2 defense officials who were briefed on the call, Mingus said something that made every commander in the room go silent. Quote, "As of this morning, our current missile defense architecture in the CENTCOM AOR does not have a reliable solution for this threat." Read that again. Does not have a reliable solution. That's not a politician hedging. That's a 3-star general telling his base commanders, if this missile comes at you, I cannot guarantee your safety. And that's signal number 1 that this isn't just another Iranian missile test. This is a paradigm shift. But here's what nobody's telling you. The Kheibar-3 didn't come out of nowhere. Iran has been building toward this for 6 years, and the U.S. intelligence community missed it. Or worse, they saw it and ignored it. Let me explain. In 2020, Iran unveiled the Kheibar-Shikan, a solid-fuel ballistic missile with a range of 1,150 kilometers. It was fast, it was accurate, but it followed a predictable ballistic trajectory, a parabola, up, arc, down. And that parabola is what missile defense systems are designed to intercept. The Patriot calculates where the missile will be in 15 seconds, fires an interceptor to that point, and destroys it. Simple geometry. The Fatah series, unveiled in 2023, added a hypersonic glide vehicle. It could maneuver during its terminal phase, making interception harder. But the Fatah still had limitations. Its maneuvering was 2-dimensional, left and right. It couldn't change altitude during its terminal dive. And the Aegis system, with its SM-3 block of IA interceptor, was upgraded specifically to handle that kind of maneuvering. The Kheibar-3 is different, and here's why. According to satellite imagery analyzed by the Middlebury Institute and corroborated by 2 sources within the Defense Intelligence Agency, the Kheibar-3 uses a new type of warhead, a maneuvering reentry vehicle, or ME-RV, with 3-dimensional terminal guidance. It doesn't just move left and right. It moves left, right, up, and down simultaneously, while accelerating, at speeds exceeding Mach 12. And that's not even the scary part. The scary part is the decoys. During last night's test, the Kheibar-3 released 3 objects during its terminal phase. On radar, all 4 signatures, the real warhead and the 3 decoys, were identical. Same radar cross-section, same velocity, same flight profile. The U.S. radar installation at ANTPY-2 in Qatar tracked all 4 objects and could not determine which one was real. That's a problem because missile defense works on a 1-to-1 ratio, 1 interceptor for 1 incoming missile. If you can't tell which target is real, you have to fire 4 interceptors at 4 targets. That means a system designed to handle 20 incoming missiles can now only handle 5, because each real missile requires 4 interceptors instead of 1. And Iran doesn't have 5 Kheibar-3 missiles. According to US estimates, they have between 30 and 50, which means Iran can now overwhelm every missile defense system the United States has in the Middle East with a single salvo. Not a sustained campaign, a single launch, and that changes everything. So the question is, what is Washington going to do about it? And the answer, as of right now, is they don't know, because this missile test has exposed a fracture inside the Trump administration that's been building for months. On one side, you have Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, who's been pushing for preemptive strikes on Iran's missile production facilities. Hegseth's argument is simple: destroy the factories before Iran can mass produce the Kheibar-3. Hit them now while the numbers are small. Take out the Parchin military complex, the Sharud missile test site, and the underground production facility at Khojir. 3 strikes, problem solved. But on the other side, you have Steve Witkoff, Trump's special envoy, who's been trying to negotiate a deal with Iran. Witkoff's argument is that bombing Iran's missile facilities will collapse the Geneva talks, trigger Iranian retaliation against US bases, and start the exact war Trump has been trying to avoid. And then there's the intelligence community, which is furious, because the CIA's 2024 National Intelligence Estimate on Iran's missile program specifically stated, and this is a direct quote from the declassified summary, Iran is unlikely to develop a maneuvering reentry vehicle with integrated decoy capability before 2031. 2031, they were off by 5 years, and now Congress wants to know why. Senator Tom Cotton posted on X within an hour of the test, quote, Iran just tested a missile that can defeat every defense system we have in the Gulf, and the CIA told us this wouldn't happen until 2031. Heads need to roll, starting with the director. That's a sitting U.S. senator publicly calling for the CIA director's firing over an intelligence failure. And he's not alone. The House Armed Services Committee has already scheduled a classified briefing for Monday. And according to 3 congressional staffers, the committee chair is preparing subpoenas for the intelligence officials who authored the 2024 estimate. But here's what's really going on behind the scenes. The intelligence community didn't miss the Kheibar-3, they chose not to report it, because reporting it would have undermined the Geneva negotiations. If Congress knew Iran was developing an unstoppable missile, there would be zero political support for a nuclear deal. The hawks would demand strikes, the moderates would back away from diplomacy, and Trump's entire Iran strategy would collapse. So the intelligence was buried, downplayed, pushed to footnotes and classified briefings that nobody reads. And now that the missile has been tested in the open, in front of every radar system in the Gulf, it can't be buried anymore. And that's where this gets dangerous. Because Trump hates being embarrassed. And right now, he's being embarrassed on 2 fronts. Iran just proved it has a missile America can't stop. And his own intelligence agencies hid it from him. Or at least, that's the narrative forming on Capitol Hill and in conservative media. And when Trump feels embarrassed, he doesn't de-escalate. He escalates. Now, let's talk about what's happening on the ground and at sea. Because while Washington is arguing about who knew what and when, the U.S. military is quietly repositioning. This morning, June 14th, the USS Bataan Amphibious Ready Group, which was conducting exercises in the Red Sea, received orders to transit the Strait of Hormuz and enter the Persian Gulf. The Bataan carries 2,200 Marines, 6 AV-8B Harrier jets, and 4 MV-22 Ospreys. It's not a strike group. It's a rapid response force, the kind you deploy when you think you might need boots on the ground in a hurry. At the same time, 2 B-2 Spirit stealth bombers departed Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri at 4 a.m. Central Time. Flight tracking data shows them heading east over the Atlantic. Their destination hasn't been confirmed, but defense analysts believe they're heading to Diego Garcia, the U.S. Air Force Base in the Indian Ocean that serves as the staging point for long-range strikes against Iran. And here's what's significant about the B-2 deployment. The B-2 carries the GBU-57 Massive Ordnance Penetrator, a 30,000-pound bunker buster designed specifically to destroy underground facilities. Iran's Kheibar-3 production line is believed to be located in a facility carved into a mountain near Khojir, east of Tehran, buried under 80 meters of rock and reinforced concrete. The GBU-57 is the only weapon in the U.S. arsenal that can reach it. So the message is clear. The Pentagon is preparing to destroy the Kheibar-3 at its source. Not because Trump has given the order, but because the military wants the option ready the moment he does. But Iran isn't sitting still. Within 3 hours of the missile test, Iran's state media released footage showing a second Kheibar-3 launcher being loaded at a different location. The footage was geolocated by open-source analysts to a site near Isfahan, 400 kilometers from the first launch site. That's Iran, telling the United States, you saw 1 launcher, we have more. And they're spread out. You can't get them all. And Iran's IRGC commander, Major General Hossein Salami, held an impromptu press conference at 10 a.m. Tehran time. His statement was brief and devastating. Quote, "The era of American missile defense superiority in the Persian Gulf ended this morning. Every U.S. base within 2,000 kilometers of Iran is now within range of a weapon they cannot intercept. This is not a threat. This is a mathematical fact." A mathematical fact. That's the language of someone who knows his weapon works. And the Pentagon, for the first time, hasn't issued a rebuttal. No statement from the Department of Defense, no reassuring press conference, no "we are confident in our ability to defend our forces." Just silence. And in the Pentagon, silence means they agree. So let's break down what this actually means strategically. Because the Kheibar-3 doesn't just threaten U.S. bases, it reshapes the entire balance of power in the Middle East. Number one, deterrence has flipped. For 40 years, the United States has used its military presence in the Gulf to deter Iran. Aircraft carriers, fighter jets, missile defense systems. All of it was designed to make Iran believe that attacking America would be suicidal. The Kheibar-3 reverses that equation. Now it's America that has to think twice. Because if Iran can hit Al-Udeid, Al-Dhafra, Camp Arifjan, and naval support activity Bahrain simultaneously with missiles that can't be intercepted, the cost of a war with Iran just went from expensive to catastrophic. Number two, Israel is now more vulnerable than ever. The Kheibar-3's range is 2,000 kilometers. Tehran to Tel Aviv is 1,600 kilometers. That means every city in Israel is within range. And Israel's Arrow 3 missile defense system, which was designed to intercept Iranian ballistic missiles in space, has never been tested against a maneuvering reentry vehicle with decoys. Israeli defense officials are, according to sources, requesting emergency consultations with the Pentagon to discuss countermeasures. But the Pentagon doesn't have countermeasures. That's the problem. Number three, the oil market is about to explode. Brent crude jumped $8 a barrel within 2 hours of the test this morning. It's now trading at $97. If it becomes clear that Iran can hold the Strait of Hormuz hostage with a missile the U.S. can't defend against, oil could hit $130 or $140 within weeks. That's $6 a gallon gasoline in the United States. That's a recession. That's the kind of economic shock that ends presidencies. Number four, every U.S. ally in the Gulf is now reconsidering their relationship with America. Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Bahrain, Kuwait, these countries host U.S. bases because they believe America can protect them. If America can't even protect its own bases, what's the point of the alliance? Early reports suggest that the UAE has already reached out to Beijing through back channels to discuss alternative security arrangements. That's not speculation. That's from a European diplomat who was briefed on the communication. And number five, the nuclear negotiations in Geneva are effectively dead because Iran's leverage just multiplied by a factor of 10. Before the Kheibar-3 test, Iran was negotiating from a position of economic weakness. They needed sanctions relief. They needed a deal. Now Iran has something America doesn't have an answer for. And when you have something your enemy can't counter, you don't make concessions. You make demands. And that's the reality that Trump is waking up to this morning. A reality where Iran has leapfrogged American missile defense technology by half a decade. Where every U.S. base in the Middle East is suddenly vulnerable. Where the entire strategic architecture that America has built in the Gulf over 40 years can be neutralized by 50 missiles that cost $3 million each. $3 million per missile. That's Iran's estimated unit cost for the Kheibar-3. The Patriot interceptor that's supposed to stop it costs $4 million. The SM-3 block Mach costs $36 million, and neither of them works against this weapon. Iran is spending $3 million to render a $36 million interceptor useless. That's not just a military victory, that's an economic one. So what happens now? Trump has three options. Option one, strike Iran's missile production facilities now before they can mass produce the Kheibar-3. Destroy the factories, destroy the launchers, set the program back 5 years. But that means starting a war, and Iran will retaliate with the Kheibar-3 missiles it already has, the 30 to 50 that are already deployed, already aimed at U.S. bases, already capable of killing thousands of Americans in a single salvo. Option two, rush development of a new interceptor that can handle maneuvering reentry vehicles with decoys. The Missile Defense Agency has been working on the next generation interceptor program, but it's not scheduled for deployment until 2029, 3 years from now. And in those 3 years, Iran will produce hundreds of Kheibar-3 missiles. By the time America has a counter, Iran will have enough missiles to overwhelm it anyway. Option three, go back to Geneva, accept Iran's terms, sign a deal that limits Iran's nuclear program but doesn't touch the missiles, and pray that diplomacy keeps the Kheibar-3 in its launcher. But that means accepting that Iran now has permanent military leverage over the United States in the Gulf. It means accepting that American bases are hostages. It means accepting that the era of American military dominance in the Middle East is over. Those are the options. Strike and risk catastrophe. Wait and fall further behind. Or negotiate from a position of weakness for the first time in American history. And Trump hates all three, because none of them make him look strong. None of them give him a headline that says he won. The best he can hope for is damage control, and Trump doesn't do damage control. He does dominance. But dominance requires capability. And as of 4:17 this morning, when that Kheibar-3 streaked across the Iranian sky, changed direction 4 times, fooled every radar in the Gulf, and hit a target 100 kilometers away within 3 meters of dead center, America's capability in the Middle East took a hit it may never recover from. The Pentagon is silent. The White House is scrambling. The CIA is being hauled before Congress. And somewhere in the Iranian desert, a launch crew is reloading. Because Iran didn't just test a missile this morning, they tested America, and America failed. This isn't another arms race. This is the moment one side pulled ahead and the other side realized they don't have an answer. Not today, not tomorrow, maybe not ever. And the world just changed because of it. Welcome to the edge.